Good afternoon again, students. Okay, well, again, welcome to our class, Community Engagement, Solidarity, and Citizenship. Okay, since we are done discussing last week about the Universal Declarations of the Human Rights, okay, let's have first a recap now. Okay, in the Universal Declarations of Human Rights, we discussed a summary of rights are enumerated as 30 articles. Okay, first we discuss about the Article 1, all human beings are born free and equal. Second, everyone is entitled to the same human rights without discriminations in any kind. And also we have the Article 3, everyone has a human right to life, liberty, and security. And no article on the Article 4, no one shall be held in slavery and the servitude. And also we have the Article 5, no one shall be subjected to torture or cruel, inhuman, or degrading treatment or the punishes. And also we have discussed the uh, core values and the guiding principles of a community action, such as the human rights, social justice, and the environment and advocacy, such as we have in environment of advocacy, we have the access to information and inclusion to participations, and also the accountability. And we have the local organizations capacity and the participatory development, as we have also the gender and equality. So in today's discussions, we will discuss about the human rights and the grassroots. So we will be having the human rights violations and the grassroots of the human rights and the grassroots also. So before we start our discussions, let's have first our learning objectives for today. Okay, at the end of the lesson, the students are able to A. Identify the legal provisions that supported the human right and the grassroots and the sectors that were inspired by universal declarations of the human rights, and explain the legal provisions that may be invoked to protect right or the grassroots sectors. And also we have analyzed community grassroots issues and identify appropriate legal provisions to protect the right, and develop concerns and appreciations for the human rights issues affecting the people in the grassroots. And also we have today's discussions. We will discuss about the urban poor, the indigenous people, and the fisher folks, and the smaller farmers, and their human rights violated. And also we will discuss um, the following existing local legal provisions that may be invoked to protect the rights of that specific grassroots. Now, okay, first we have the urban poor and their human rights. Okay, for the urban poor, okay, the rights continue to be violated. We have the right to life, liberty, and property, and we have also the provisions, na? Provisions that may invoke to protect the rights of the urban poor. So first, the urban poor constitute a sector in our society whose basic human rights continue to be violated. As I said earlier, these rights are included the right to life, liberty, and property, the right due to process the law, and the right to an adequate standard of living, and also the right to health, and the right to security, and their homes against unreasonable searches and seizures, and the right to participate in decision making for programs that directly affect them. And now we have this. We should have this. We will discuss about the uh, provisions. Okay, provisions that are provisions that may be invoked to protect the rights of the urban poor sectors. So first, we have the Part 3 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And we have also the Article 2, Section 9 of the Philippine Constitutions. And also we have the Article 8, Section 9 of the Philippine Constitution. And we have also the Article 8, Section 10 of the Philippine Constitutions. And we have also the Republic Act 7279, Urban and the Development Housing Act of 1992. Okay, let's have first the Part 3 of the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So, the Covenant, this right, these provisions says that the covenant recognizes the right to everyone, okay, right to everyone in adequate food, clothing, and housing, and also continues to improvement of their living conditions, and the state parties will take the appropriate steps to ensure the realizations of these rights, and recognizes to this effect the essential importance of international corporations based on free consent. And let's have the that's all for the Part 3 of the International Covenant, Economic, Social, and the Cultural Rights. And now let's have the Article 2, Section 9 of the Philippine Constitution. Okay, this article says that the state shall promote a just and dynamic society. Now, dynamic social order that will ensure prosperity and independence of the nation. It says that promote and ensure prosperity and independence of a nation. Then nations and free the people from poverty to policies and provide adequate social services. So it says that not only the nations but also the people, but from poverty. So through policies provided adequate services, full employment, and rising standard of living. So it should promote our full employment, no, and promote rising standard of living. So our living today should improve and improve our life quality and for all. And now we have the Article 8, Section 9 of the Philippine Constitution. This article says that the state shall by law and award and for the common goods undertake a continuing program for urban land reform and housing and the basic services to the underprivileged and homeless citizens. So, this Article 9, this Article 2, Article 8, Section 9 says that a nation or a state should continue their program for the urban poor's land reform program, the housing and the service under services under privilege should improve for the homelessness people or the citizens in the country. And now we have also the Article 8, Section 10 of the Philippine Constitution. So, the urban and the rural poor dwellers shall not be evicted to their dwellings demolished except in accordance with the law and in just and human manner. So, not only the urban poor, so also we have the rural poor dwellers shall not be evicted in dwellings except without accordance by a law. No? So, you are not be evicted. No? Di ka pwedeng tatanggalin sa trabaho mo kung walang proseso. Tamang proseso sa pagtanggal sa iyong trabaho. No? And now we have the the Republic Act 7279, Urban and the Development Housing Act of 1992. So, this Republic Act says that this is a law passed to respond the needs. So, this Republic Act made for the urban people or the poor people or the poorest poorest people to respond their needs and concerns, no, particularly in their security and adequate housing, no. So this law is passed to respond the needs and concerns of the urban poor, particularly on their security and adequate housing. And it is designed to uplift the conditions and privilege of homeless citizens by making affordable, and decent housing, basic services, and employment opportunities. So, this Republic Act is designed for the conditions of the homelessness citizens of this country, and the services should be affordable, and also the available service for the employment and should have enough available service employment opportunities. And now let's discuss. And now we have the indigenous peoples and their human rights. Na? Okay. The indigenous peoples, we have their rights violated. We have the self-determinations of the ancestral domains and the customary law. And also we have our provisions that may use relevant and the legal provisions that may use to protect the rights of our indigenous and cultural communities. So, the indigenous peoples, these are the indigenous cultural communities, are usually called our tribal people and the ethnic minorities. So there are so many tribal people and the ethnic minorities in here in the Philippines. So we have also the Manobo, for example, the Manobo, Subanin, and the Aita, Kalinga, or something, etc. And the tribal Filipinos are our traditional practitioners of the much maligned and widely misunderstood shifting methods of cultivations that we call the kaingin. Okay, class, what is the kaingin? Okay, the kaingin was a type of logging. They cut trees and they cut trees for planting, no? Planting rice. They make upland. That's why they made a kaingin. Then the life of a tribal community is interwoven with the forest whether they are carry above their means and subsidence. Na? After many years, after many years of encroachment by loggers, ranchers, miners, lowlands migrants, and the government corporations of their ancestral lands, our tribal Filipinos have found themselves marginalized. No? They found marginalized and their right to self-determinations to their ancestral domains and the customary law have been violated by the government corporations and lowland migrants and miners and ranchers and the loggers after many years. So, we have also the relevant and legal provisions that we will use to protect our rights of the indigenous cultural communities. First, we have our Article 1 and 7 of the Universal Declarations of the Human Rights and also the United Nations of International Covenant on Economic and Social Cultural Rights of the Article 1. And also we have the United Nations International International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. And also we have the Article 2, Section 5 of the 1987 Constitutions, and also the Republic Act 57 known as the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law, and the resolutions of 1803 of the United Nations General Assembly. And we have also the Article 7 of the International Labor Organization in Convention of 107, and we have also the Article 7, Section 5 of the Philippine Constitution. Okay, let's have first discuss about the Article 1 of the Universal Declarations of the Human Rights. So, the Article 1 of the Declarations states that all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and rights. So it says that since we're done discussing the Universal Declarations of Human Rights, okay, what is the Article 1 is all about? Okay, so it is said that every one of us was born and free. Okay? It was ang bawat isa sa atin ay ipinanganak or isinilang na malaya at pantay-pantay, no? And sa pantay-pantay sa karangalan at mga karapatan. Then they are endowed and reasons and conscience and should act toward one another in a spirit of brotherhood, as I said. So, every one of us pinagkalooban ng ng isang katwiran at budhi na dapat nating makipagpalagayan sa isa't isa or sa bawat isa sa atin sa diwa sa kanilang pagkakapatiran. So, the Article 7 states that all are equal before the law and are entitled without any discriminations and in violations of these declarations and against in any incitement to such discrimination. So this Article 7 says that every one of us are even or no? Even. Okay. Are equal. Pantay-pantay sa harap ng ating batas at ang bawat isa sa atin ay may karapatan sa walang pagtatangi ng pangangalaga ng ating batas. So, ang lahat sa atin ay may karapatan sa pantay na pangangalaga laban sa anumang pagtatangi tanging naglalabag sa pahayag na ito at laban sa anumang pagbubuyo sa gayong pagtatangi. Na? Then, we have also the United Nations, the International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, the Article 1. So the Article 1 of this covenant states that all says that all people have the right to self-determination. No? All of us have a right in self-determination. So, it was by virtue of that right, they are freely determine their political status and freely na pursue their economic, social, and cultural development. So, the Article 1 of this covenant state says every one of us have a right in determination. Na? Even by determination by virtue on that right, we are equally free to determine our political status, no? Political status kung ano ang kalagayan natin sa isang lugar or bansa and we are free to choose our economic and social cultural development. So, we have also the United Nations International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights, Article 27. So, this covenant states in those states in which ethnic, religious, or the linguistic minorities exist, persons belonging to such minorities shall not be denied the right. No? So, every one of us, even though we are in a member of different ethnic groups, so our rights shall not be denied in a community with the other members of their groups, no? To enjoy our own culture. Now, we have the rights to enjoy our culture and profess the practice of their own religion and protest also in our religions to show them our religions. We have our right to show them our religions and or to use our own language. We are free to use our language even though there are so many languages in our country. Now, there are so many tribes. We have also the Subanen. Yes, we have our language. Bisaya, Ilonggo, Subanen, and etc. And we have also our Hiligaynon, Ilocano. There are so many language. We are free to use what we want to use in communications. And also we have the Article 2, Section 5 of the 1987 Philippine Constitution. Okay, the state is subject to provisions of this constitution in national development and policies, no? And programs. Okay, shall protect the rights of our indigenous cultural minorities to their ancestral lands and to their economic, social, and cultural well-being. So, the Article 2, Section 5 was made to protect the rights of our indigenous peoples and also our cultural minorities, to protect their ancestral lands and their economic and social cultural well-being, no? Their economic, kung ano yung ekonomiya nila. So we have the article, the Republic Act 57, known as the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law. So this Republic Act was made for the ancestral lands of our each indigenous cultural community, such as includes but are not limited to lands in the actual continuous and open positions and occupations of the community, no? And its members, provided by the torrent systems, shall be respected. So, our indigenous peoples or our cultural community shall be respect. Okay, we have the article. We have also the resolutions of 1803 of the United Nations General Assembly. Okay, this is the violations of the rights of the peoples and the nations of sovereignty over the natural wealth and the resource of the contrary to the spirit of the principles of the character of the United Nations, and hinders the development of the international corporations and the maintenance of peace. And we have also the Article 7 of the International Labor Organization in Conventions 107. So we have this in defining the rights and duties of populations concerned regard shall be given their customary laws. Second, these people shall be allowed to retain their own customs and institutions where these are not incompatible with the national legal systems and its objectives of integrations of their programs. And third, we have the applications of the preceding paragraph of this article shall not prevent members of these populations from exercising according to their individual capacity and the rights is granted by the citizens and from assuming the corresponding of their corresponding duties. And also we have the Article 7, Section 5 of the Philippine Constitution. Okay. The Article 7 and Section 5 states that the Congress may provide the applicability of their customary laws. No? Customary laws governing as the property rights of relations in determining their ownership and the extent of their ancestral domain. So it says that the Congress should or the government should provide the applicability of their customary laws that will govern their rights in determining determining the ownership of their own ancestral lands, in determining the ownerships of their lands of their ninuno rather. And now let's proceed to the fisher folks and the human rights. The fisher folks, we have the rights continues to be violated are the right to subsistence, and also we have the legal provisions to support the advocacy of the rights of the advocacy and the protections of the rights of the subsistence of the fisher folks. So the fisher folks are the sectors of one of the most exploited sectors in the country. Okay? No substantial improvement happened in their lives in millions of subsistence of fisher folks. Injustice at sea and among the subsistence of fisher folks become more apparent in the exploitations than the big-scale commercial fishers. There are too many uh, big-scale commercial fishers, no? Through presidential decree of 1704, more exploitation place, no? took place in the fisheries sector. It allowed the exploitations of the national resources and the encouragement of investment of their generate capital. Now, the fisher folk suffer from these violations of their right is to subsistence. And now let's have as I said earlier, the right continues to be violated for the fisher folks is the right to their subsistence. Now, okay. Now let's discuss about the provisions that legal provisions that may be provisions may be used for the advocacy and protections of the rights of the subsistence of the fisher folks. First, we have the national and economic patrimony of the Philippine Constitution, or the Article 7, Section 2. And we have the natural resources reform under social justice on the human rights, or the Article 8, Section 7. And we have the Article 2, Section 19 of the Philippine Constitutions. And we have the Republic Act 8550, or the Fisheries Code of 1998. And we have the Republic Act 6657, the Agrarian Reform Law. And now let's discuss about the national economic patrimony of the Philippine Constitution, the Article 7, Section 2. Okay, this article states that the Philippine Constitution guarantees priority the subsistence of the fishermen and fisher workers in a small-scale utilizations of the natural resources. So, next we have the natural resource reform under the social justice of the human rights, Article 8, Section 7. So, this article, Section 7, mandates to the state to protect the rights of subsistence of our fishermen. And not only the fishermen, but also our local communities that are preferential use of our communal marine and inland fishery resources. So the Article 7 should state that the government should protect the rights of our fishermen and local communities in the preferential use of our communal marine and inland fishery resources. So the Article 2, Section 19 of the Philippine Constitution. So it states that the nation will develop our self-reliant and independent national economy effectively controlled by the Filipinos. So it is very simple, no? Our nation should develop a self-reliant and independent, no, national economy and controlled by Filipinos, not by the other not by the other lahi, rather. Okay, we have the Republic Act 8550 of the Fisheries Code of 1998. So, the Republic Act states that these laws provide a new perspective on the fishery sectors and fishing industry, our fishing industry. So, this Republic Act gives high regard to food and security, proper utilization, management, development, conservation, and protection of the Philippine fishery resources. So, the Republic Act 8550 was made was made for high regard to the food security, proper utilization, management, development, and also for the conservations and protection for the Philippine fishery resources. And we have the Republic Act 6657, the Agrarian Reform Law. Okay, this Republic Act states that the nation shall protect the rights of subsistence of the fishermen, especially to our local communities, and to all preferential use of the communal, marine, and fishing resources, both inland and offshore. And it shall provide support through appropriate technology and research, adequate financial, production, and marketing assistance, and other services. And now let's get to the small farmers and the human rights. Now, the small farmers and the human rights, the rights continued to be violated. Their hard work is severely compensated. So, and we have also the legal provision supported the advocacy of the rights of the small farmers. So we have the International Covenant on Civil and the Political Rights, and also we have the Republic Act 6657 or the Agrarian Reform Law Section 2 on the Declarations of Principles and Policies. So let's have first the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Okay. The Philippines has the International Covenant states that the Philippines has long been a signatory and International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, as well as our economic and our social cultural rights. And we have the Republic Act 667, Section 2. No? Section 2, the Declarations of the Principles and Policies, states that it is a policy of a state or a nation to pursue comprehensive agrarian reform program or the CARP. No? The welfare of the landless farmers and farm workers will receive a highest consideration to promote social justice and to move the nation towards sound rural development and utilizations and the establishment of owner cultivatorship of economic size farm and the basis of the Philippine agriculture. Okay, we have also the given provisions above. The small farmers may invoke the following rights. Okay, a more equitable distributions of the ownership of the land with due to regard the rights of the land ownerships is to just compensation. Okay, to just compensations and the ecological needs of the nation shall be undertaken to provide farmers and farm workers with opportunity to enhance their dignity, to improve the quality of their lives through greater productivity and agricultural lands. And second, we have the Agrarian Reform Program is founded on the right of the farmers and regular farm workers who are landless to own directly or collectively the lands they till, or in this case the farm workers will receive a shares of the fruits thereof. Well, okay, the CARP, this says that the CARP will make the owners the Agrarian Reform Program is founded to right the farmers who regularly farm workers who landless and own directly or the collectively the lands they till. So, the Agrarian Reform Program will make or the CARP will make the landless own. Okay? The landless person or the landless people who directly or uh, collectively the lands they till in how many years they will own that land. Okay, and also the state shall recognize the rights of the farmers. Now the farm workers and the landowners, as well as the cooperatives and the other independent farmers organizations, to participate the planning, organizations, and the management of the program, and shall provide support to agriculture through appropriate technology, research, and adequate financial productions and marketing, and the other support services. And the CARP, by means the appropriate incentives, the state shall encourage the informations of the maintenance of economic size family farms and to be constituted by the individual beneficiaries of the small landowners. And also the state may list underdevelop the lands of the public domain to qualify the entities and the development capital intensive farms and traditional and the pioneering crops, especially those who export subjects to the prior rights of the beneficiaries under this act. Okay? And and that's all for today's discussion. Thank you. For some clarification, you can call me at 0948-84-7793 for TNT and Smart, and 0926-9591-934 for TM and Globe. And you can visit our site at GAITF at https www.gaitf.com/elearning. And that's all. Thank you for listening and for your corporations class. And that's all for today. Thank you.